us out anywhere you get your podcast. Find all of my work, including a pretty important news piece that I just broke on si.com/NFL/Steelers. I apologize that I'm a couple minutes late this afternoon. Why? Because I was letting the world know, and I'll let you guys know, that Shedeur Sanders is coming to town this week to visit the Pittsburgh Steelers with a pre-draft visit, a top 30 visit. Sources tell All Steelers Talk, Steelers on SI, and myself. A massive day for the Pittsburgh Steelers in what has been, I think, as unpredictable of a draft as they come for the black and gold. You go back several years and you could look at the Kenny Pickett draft and say things like, okay, you didn't know it was going to be Kenny, but you knew it was going to be a quarterback. You were pretty sold on the fact that that was the position the Pittsburgh Steelers were going after. You can go back to other drafts and say, hi, I didn't expect TJ Watt to fall or Cam Hayward to fall, or I didn't expect the Pittsburgh Steelers to trade up for Devin Bush. Those are all instances where you looked at the Pittsburgh Steelers and, yeah, we're a little thrown off by the situation. But this one seems to be taking a turn every other day. The Pittsburgh Steelers, at least once a week, have a new name to watch or new names to watch. And this week, it's Shedeur Sanders. It started with Jackson Dart. That was what the weekend conversation was. Jackson Dart's coming to Pittsburgh. He's here for a pre-draft visit. The Pittsburgh Steelers clearly have interest. They're on a short list of teams who have spent the most time with the Ole Miss quarterback. What does that mean? How realistic is it that he ends up with the Pittsburgh Steelers? And today, this week, it's Shedeur Sanders. A lot of talk about Shedeur Sanders. ESPN's Adam Schefter saying that Shedeur Sanders is the name to watch for the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. You have teams that believe that the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New Orleans Saints are the only two teams battling it out for Shedeur. I talked about it yesterday, how I didn't believe the Pittsburgh Steelers were very into Shedeur Sanders because of the whole comes with a crowd, comes with cameras. And, I think himself is a good leader, a good quarterback, but the noise that surrounds him, maybe unintentionally, is quite a bit. And I don't know if that's what the Pittsburgh Steelers are looking for. They did not go to Colorado's Pro Day. I think that sent a pretty clear message to everybody that, okay, why were you not there? Are you in the belief that Shedeur Sanders isn't going to fall to you? Or are you in the belief that you're out on Shedeur Sanders? Well, maybe it's the first, because the latter doesn't seem to hold any weight. And maybe I was wrong as of yesterday, because as of today, well, he's coming to Pittsburgh. He's expected to come to Pittsburgh, land tomorrow and or Thursday, and spend some time with Mike Tomlin, Omar Khan, probably Arthur Smith and company, and talk about what could come, what could happen in the NFL draft, and if the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to end up with the Colorado QB. We could go back months, okay? We'll start there, where Shedeur Sanders was not a name to watch for Pittsburgh because he was expected to be a first overall pick. The Steelers weren't going to have any shot at him, although many people wanted to act as if that was a good opportunity for the Steelers. They should trade up and get Shedeur Sanders. I mean, a lot of people asked me, hey, should the Steelers make a move, go up to number 1 and go get Shedeur Sanders? The answer was no. There was never a situation where Shedeur at number 1 made sense for Pittsburgh, just like Cam Ward doesn't make sense for Pittsburgh. Once Shedeur started falling and you started thinking, okay, Vegas, New York with the Giants, maybe Cleveland is too high, but I think these other teams could potentially be in the mix to where the Steelers look and say, that's a spot we can move to. There was conversation to be had, but not much of it, because you didn't anticipate the Steelers making a move for a name like Shedeur or like anybody. Okay, well, months have passed. Weeks have passed. Quarterback situations have gone all over the board. And where we find ourselves today is the Pittsburgh Steelers welcoming a quarterback in Mason Rudolph, hoping for a quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, and by the minute, I think getting closer to the realization that they have to actually consider a first-round option in the 2025 NFL Draft. Do I think that's the best way to go about it? No, I've stayed pretty strong with that opinion that I think this year is the opportunity to get somebody that develops. Next year is the opportunity to get somebody who's very good. Well, I think Shedeur Sanders is in a different category because he's not Jackson Dart. He's not Tyler Shuck. He's above both of them. He's the only guy outside of Cam Ward that I think has a first round potential, that I think has first round potential. The only guy outside of Cam Ward that I could look at and say there's a justification for taking him in the first 32 picks. And if you could find him at 21, I mean, it's hard to deny that talent. Yesterday, I denied if the Pittsburgh Steelers wanted it. Today, I'm sitting here going, maybe I was wrong. I read those tea leaves very incorrectly. And maybe this is just them doing their due diligence on the situation. Maybe this is the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers could just be, hey, just like Jackson Dart, just like Tyler Shuck. I think less of Jalen Milroe, but just like Jalen Milroe, hey, we just have to make sure that we fully understand who this guy is. I think with Shedeur Sanders, it holds more weight than the others. Why? Because the guy comes with cameras. The guy comes with attention. The guy comes with outside noise that he doesn't even create, but others around him do. You cannot deny the Deion Sanders element of this. You can't. It's just impossible to. If you could, Shedeur Sanders would be top 5 pick and there'd be no questions asked, because you'd just be looking at the fact that this guy led the country last year in passing yards, passing touchdowns, passing yards per game, passing yards per attempt, passer rating, and per completion percentage. That's nuts. That's a nuts year for a quarterback who has the arm strength, who has the ability to throw each level of the field. But it's the outside stuff. It's the off the field stuff that you worry about, that I think the Pittsburgh Steelers a little tiny bit worry about. And I'll say Shedeur is back on the board. You got to read into it one way or the other. Either they're just doing their homework or they're not. But you got to take a guess at the same time and say, okay, there's at least some interest. There's at least a little bit of interest in Shedeur Sanders.